More gang violence in Melbourne, just near Berrick. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Heiser Says. I've got my Stein, and I thought I'd talk about this latest incident of gang violence near Berrick down in Melbourne, also known as Berwick in Heiser Says dialogue. Now, I spoke about this or something very close to it in a previous video just a couple of days ago. Now, this was gang violence, and this was to do with a party where some parents were going to pick up their kids and they were getting robbed. Now, during that interview, she mentioned this shopping centre here, and now we're going to hear about what happens inside that shopping centre. So let's have a look. A teenage girl and a woman have been stabbed in a violent brawl involving about 30 youths outside a shopping centre in Melbourne. The teenage girl... Let me just zoom in here. A teenage girl and a woman have been stabbed, which it's been dubbed Victoria's most unsafe shopping centre. Police say two groups of youths were involved in the melee near Westfields Fountain Gate at Nari Warner last night. Okay, so it's Fountain Gate. It's going to be infamous. Just think about this. 30 people fighting at a shopping centre. Where's the security at the shopping centre? We'll talk about that a bit later. It is understood around 30 people gathered at a Fountain Drive reserve about 9:30 p.m. when a fight broke out between the two parties. A teenage girl was taken to the Alfred Hospital with a serious stab wound to her lower body. Oh, poor thing. Police say that a short time later, a woman in her 20s turned up at hospital with serious injuries believed to be from a stab wound sustained during the brawl. Okay, so we're having knife attacks at suburban shopping centres in Melbourne. Yeah, where groups of 30 people just happen to be there. No, there's not a gang problem in Melbourne. Not at all, guys. Not at all. I don't know why you wouldn't believe the great Mr. Andrews. I don't know why. There've been no arrests. There've been no arrests. How often do we hear that? Where there's been no arrests? Because the police always turn up after. They can't really protect you. That's what private security is. And because we're not even allowed to carry anything to defend ourselves in this country, the criminals who are carrying knives around, illegally probably, are stabbing and killing. Why didn't the laws stopping people carrying knives around help them? Why? And for those of you that don't know, let's just have a look here to my freedom map. This is on the says.heiser.com.au website. You can see here where I've got, let's look at just gang violence here around Melbourne. And I've got to add some more here. But yeah, so it's prevalent. There's a problem here and it's being reported in the news. I don't know how Andrews is not getting in. I don't know why the LNP isn't playing up this issue more. No charges have been laid at this time, and investigators are appealing to anyone who may have witnessed the incident or has information relating to the incident of people involved are urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Yes, Crime Stoppers is probably a better name. The attack comes after security at Fountain Gardens was increased into response to a number of recent incidents which have terrorized local shoppers and store owners. Could you imagine having a business in there? Could you imagine? Because I had a retail premises, and we had, homeless and beggars and things around the place that would sleep and come, and I'd have my family at the shop. So it's not really that pleasant having them around there. But you've got to get them to move on. But we had an event at the front of our tenancy because there was a little outdoor concrete area. We had about 100 and 150 people there. So we hired security. We hired security ourselves just to ensure that the riffraff wouldn't take all the free booze and alcohol and food. It was fine. It's a good event. So back to this. I feel for the owners. I really do. Would that be grounds for them to terminate their lease? I guarantee you not. But it's going to drive business away from that shopping centre. We heard in the previous video where the woman who just the suburb over was saying, no, you never go there anymore. You never go there anymore. It's too dangerous. Does this sound like suburban Australia to you? Not being able to go to the shopping centre because you're going to be knifed. Seriously, what is going on here? And don't tell me there isn't an issue. In March, teenage girls attacked a young worker during a brazen robbery inside the centre and got away with the shop's takings, roughly $5,000. In April, there were 2 similar incidents. In the first, a 14-year-old boy was attacked and robbed by 6 teens. Less than 2 weeks later, a woman was attacked by 6 teenage girls. Notice the girls are getting into it now. Equality, everyone. Equality. The Craigborn leader reported last month that traders are too terrified to try and stop gangs of teens raiding their shops and wreaking havoc. Well, yeah, I don't blame you. Honestly, you don't want them to stick a knife in you over a bag of bloody chips or some goods. You've got insurance for that. It's not worth risking it. But we're in a civil society where we shouldn't have these problems. We shouldn't have gangs running around. The newspaper called the shopping centre the most unsafe in Melbourne. I'd say it's probably one of the most unsafe in all of Australia for suburban shopping centres. We're not talking like some remote, Wolf Creek shopping centre in the middle of Australia. That doesn't count. Although they're not as bad either as they're reported in the media, as you can see from the interview I did with the young lady that lives in Minterby. Customers have lashed out at the shopping centre's managers on Facebook last month, saying crime was out of control. I was in a shop while it was being robbed, and one security guard arrived 15 minutes. That is absolutely ridiculous, one person wrote. Well, they need to be, the police need to be patrolling this space. They need to have police officers patrolling the shopping centre. They need to get a police beat in there now if this is an issue. They need to address this suburb if we're having these issues happening here. Safety is a start, and removing feral children will help. In response to one of the complaints on social media, a Westfields spokeswoman said the safety and security of its customers, retail partners, and employees is always our priority. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No. Your priority is making money. Your priority is making money. You can't always say that, you're just misleading there. It's just spin. As a social hub, and meeting point in the local community. I don't know. I guess I'm bitter and old now. We used to hang out at Southport Mall there, I remember. Would go to, the computer shops and just play the computer games all the time there for hours on end because they were free. Just play the demos. You probably wouldn't even do that anymore these days. Anyway, I'm showing my age again. Westfields Fountain Gate strives to ensure all our customers feel welcome, comfortable, and safe when visiting, she wrote. Every situation is different, and our experienced teams make decisions on how to manage situations on a case-by-case basis, always with the safety of our customers in mind. Minor incidents are actively managed. Yeah, sure. This isn't a minor incident, and we work closely with local authorities, including police and emergency services as needed. You know what is going to happen? This shopping centre is going to turn into like Skyrim or other RPG games where they've got a security guard inside the shop all the time. Is that what is going to happen? So let's have a look at this previous article. And this is from the 5th of March of May. So all that long, 10 days ago. So let's have a read here. The first thing you notice about Victoria's most unsafe shopping centre is the men dressed in matching blue polo shirts and cream khaki. They're everywhere on a rainy Thursday as late-night shoppers descend on Fountain Gate, an hour's drive from Melbourne. 4 security guards followed by two youths outside the centre before a short conversation takes place, one that feels like it's been had before. You're going to have to find a new centre, a guard tells 2 youths, no older than 17. It's going to happen. Security has been bolstered in the last week after concerns from retailers that youth gangs were running riot. In March, teenage girls attacked a youth worker during a brazen robbery. We read that before. In April, there were 2 more similar incidents. The first, 14-year-old boy attacked and robbed by 16s. Yep, so we're on that here. So this is just a repeat and showing you how that we're getting the additional security in the premises, but that hasn't addressed. 10 days later, we're getting a stabbing. So what's going on? Now, this was a comment left by Texas19 on a previous video, and I thought this was interesting for everyone to share. So I'm in public transport in the Berrick area. See, I got it right. And it's not an African gang problem as such, but an overall teenager problem. They're all out of control, doing whatever they want, and absolute contempt for everyone not in their peer groups. That sounds like, that would make a lot of sense, actually, that you're getting all these different gangs. So, we're getting African gangs all over there. You're getting also the Maori gangs all over there fighting them. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are other gangs that aren't getting as much media attention because it isn't as exciting. But let's just say in socialist Victoria, could you be surprised that this is happening? We were attacked relentlessly by groups of white teens that lasted 18 months and nothing was done by the police. The attacks have eased lately, conveniently, when Bunji Place opened and police cracked down a bit around Fountain Gate. But the reason it's happening in the first place is simply because they know that no consequences will fall on them. Damn. Well, yeah, we're seeing that, aren't we? No arrests were made. They are well aware of their rights. It's time to reduce the age where the law gets tough to probably 12 years of age, I'd say. And then we would know that we'd be in serious trouble if they do anything. Yeah. They are not sweet and innocent teenagers. They are vicious and frightening because they know they can get away with it. And if you as an adult hurts them while they're hurting you, you'll be punished severely with no support from police or media. But even worse if you're a mate, if you're a male. Could you imagine how much you'd cop then? The media would probably be pushing you to be locked up forever for defending yourself against a sweet little defenseless teenager. And I thought that was a fantastic post. And it sheds a bit of insight from a local in the area. And, let's have a look at another issue. And youth unemployment. And we'll go down through here, but, it's not getting better. It's worse in regional areas. 20% is the highest. 1 in 5 is really getting it. I'm not going to read through this whole article, but it's sitting around 11% youth unemployment. Now, let me just, let's just have a look here. That's what's going on in Melbourne. Now, let me theory craft a bit. We've got, young youth violence everywhere, and they seem to be clustering in their, traditional ethnic or tribal groups, which is kind of normal. How's that multiculturalism going for us? Hey, is it working? Is it? This is the inherent state. They'll cluster around their own peer groups, and we're having all these instances which are reducing our quality of life. Now, let's just imagine, think back, to when you were young, if you're a young man or a young woman. Now, this is mainly aimed at the guys, but the women are causing trouble too. It's probably the same. But if you were brought up in a Victorian education system where men are always, the perpetrators, women are always pushed up high. You've got safe schools pushing their rubbish down your throat. You've got women going on TV teaching about nappy consent. You've got a socialist government that's just, putting more and more into sustainable energy, and then every expense is going up. Your parents don't have much money to spend. You're bored out of your mind because you can't get a job because the economy's buggered. You hate school. You always blame for everything at school. Alcohol's too expensive because they've taxed the shit out of it. Cigarettes are too expensive, so they tax the shit out of it. Oh, look, there's meth. Oh, look, there's this other stuff that's a lot cheaper. I'll just do that and hang out and get into fights. That's what I see. That's kind of the gut instinct I've got going. Let me know what you think about it, guys. Because I think that brings everything else together. Because there's definitely a problem here. And I think it's only going to get worse. I think with a recession coming, this is going to be even worse. This is not a good thing. Idle hands are the devil's plaything, and we're just seeing this right here. And there's all this concern also with youth suicide. What do you think leads to that? Do you think being unemployed, having no prospects? I mean, we'll just read this first paragraph here, Madeline Liu loves animals and wanted to work in a field that helped them. She studied animal and veterinarian bioscience at La Trobe in Melbourne. But since graduating in 2017, she struggled to find work. Okay? So if you're a teenager and all the people who've worked hard through uni, you've seen have wound up with nothing. Maybe they're the ones doing the crappy jobs that you should have been doing in high school. They're the ones doing the Woolies bag checking. They're the ones working at the McDonald's now because they can't get work. So I don't know, everyone. Let me know what you think. Do you think my theory's way off? How would you address this? Is it all just the fault of safe schools and nappy gates? Hyper-feminization of our school system and emasculation of men? We're seeing it played out here. I don't know. We'll see. I'm glad I have moved my office home and I'm not in a retail premises before, because we had that too. We had a gang of four, Sudanese African guys burst into the night owl upstairs, hold a knife to the cashier's throat, steal all the stuff. We had kids often from a poorer suburb driving in and stealing stuff from the bottle shop, just running out, never caught them. They got the four guys, though, they're in jail. Can you imagine that, holding a knife to someone's neck? And this is in Yeronga, right near another suburb, which is notorious. We'd have people, begging at the front of our shop and all these things, and they charge you a bloody fortune. Westfield, for what they charge you, do I have a picture of Westfield here? For what they charge the bloody retailers, need to be doing better. They need to be doing better. Much better. Because they charge a bloody arm and a leg and they will send people bankrupt. So you've got two sides to this. You've got the whole social issue, which is a bigger political thing that needs to be addressed, that we need to discuss in the open. And then you've got Westfields, I think, being negligent in providing a safe environment for their retailers. They should give all of the retailers free rent until this stops. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you again next time. Oh, one more thing. If you're still here, I'm going to be doing a live stream tonight where we'll look through all of the Senate candidates for Queensland and hopefully the other states if we get to it, and have a friendly chat. See you later.